So you're looking to add a new button to your app, but how do you do that? How do you link it up? How do you get to do something? I mean, let's face it, this is kind of a basic beginning of apps. I mean, most apps will have buttons in, so if you're at the beginner level like I really am, then you may be wondering this, and so I thought I'd just try and break it down. And there's going to be two levels to this. First of all, it's showing you how to add a button, or I've got the code anyway, I've added the button, but how to link that up to a function for it to do something. And then the second part is how do you pass a value into that click in case you want to do something different. You know, maybe you want to click a button and then have it increment a counter or something like that. So and I'm going to do this in a stateless widget. If I was changing state, so if I was, say, clicking a button and I wanted it to do something that would change something on the screen, so the state, then it would have to be in a stateful widget. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to do a print to the screen, to the console. So this is just a stateless widget, just to give you a quick example. So here we go. We have this very basic widget here, which is a stateless widget. I'll come to this bit in a minute, but we basically just have an app bar and a raised button, and that looks like this. And at the moment the button's grey because I don't have a function attached to it. I've just got unpressed do null. So there's a couple of things you could do here. First of all, you could have an anonymous function, which literally does nothing, and you will see that the button becomes active because it now has a function. And if you wanted to, you can actually put in there something like print so from and non-func. Alright, so from an anonymous function, I'll just do a hot reload just in case it didn't, and then if I click there now, I see down here that it's actually running from this anonymous function. So you could do it that way, but you'd then have to do that function every time you created a button that you wanted to do this. So what you could do is you could create a function within your widget. I've called this button function, and this is just going to go button clicked. And all you would do then is down here, you would, within the brackets, you would say for my on clicked, I was just going to call the button function without the parentheses, because without the brackets, because we're actually passing it a pointer to the function. We're not actually wanting to execute. So if I had that in, what would happen is when I try to run, let me save and then try run, you will get this saying cannot be used on pressed function. But basically what's happening is when it's doing the build, it's trying to execute the method, the function, which we don't want it to do that. We only want to execute it when we press something. So what we need to do is we need to just pass it a pointer to the function by just without the brackets, and then if I go back in, I click, we see now it says button clicked. But what happens then if I want to pass in a value? Because as I've just said, if I put brackets in there, what happens is it tries to execute it. So if I created a new number val equals 2, right? And I wanted to pass in number val here. If I try to pass in number val, yeah, if I can spell, and if I took in a int here, number val, right, so I can validly take in a value there, but you can see here again I've got the error that's saying, you know, you can't do this because you're trying to execute the function on the run through the build, and that fails. So the way you do this is you actually go back to your anonymous function like this, yeah, and then within the brackets, in the braces rather, you actually call your function passing in the value, yeah. So now if I put in there saying if number val is equal to 0, then I want it to put it in the braces so you can see. I want it to do this print here. Else, if number val is greater or equal to 2, because I'm passing in 2, then I want it to print got val. Yeah. So now if I save and I re-execute this, sorry, I forgot to put the if there for some unknown reason. There we go. Let's start that again. It's deleted my if. Val is smaller than 2. I'm not sure what happened there. We deleted my if. So there we go. So now if I try and execute it, I'll just reload it just to make sure. If I now click the button, it says got val because my value is 2. If I were to change this to 1, and then just that, now if I click it, so let's restart it because I've changed it a lot more. So if it's equal to 1, so if it's less than 2, it should say button clicked. There we go. So that's kind of showing you that I'm now calling the button click function, the button function, and I'm passing in a variable or value, which can be anything. I'm just using ints at the moment just to give you that example. So that's how you kind of call or use a function in a button, or call from a button that you want to pass in a value to. So either use it, if there's no value to pass in, just use the pointer to the function, and if you want to pass in a value, then you create an anonymous function, and in the braces for that you call the function passing in the value. So hopefully that helps and gives you a little bit of information on how to create buttons and pass values in. Remember, if you want to actually change the state of the screen, you need to add this to a stateful widget. Right, catch you in the next one. Hopefully these will prove some use to you too. As I learn, you learn.